Howdy, y'all. It's Nicole Cuts here in Maryland, and I'm here with my good friend Lisa Sacco, and we're going to have a little discussion about Dave Chappelle's latest special entitled 846. Now I'm going to go back here. Before we get started, I do want you to know that I want you to make comments, ask questions, but don't feel badly if we don't respond, because neither one of us can see at that distance, okay? So this is kind of a low-tech situation. But I wanted to introduce my good friend, Lisa Sacco. Lisa, how long have we known each other?
Since we were 4 years old.
Since we were 4 years old. Okay, remember the other day when I was doing that thing on WJLA and I said, some of my best friends are white? Well, here she is. This is my best friend.
And I'm white.
She's white. And so we've known each other since we were 4 years old. We went to school together from junior kindergarten up to 8th grade. We also went to Rome. We went to school over there for a semester.
Studied abroad. We didn't just escape and go to Rome. And so I can't quit this girl. And she's admitted she can't quit me either. Even though we are different in some respects, we're so alike in others that I think that's what keeps us together. Yeah, I think we're just funny and that keeps us together.
She thinks it's just each of our senses of humor. I think it's a little bit more than that. We used to be field day partners when we were in lower school every year at, okay, we can say it at Stone Ridge. We had father-daughter field day, and a part of that were these competitive games. We're both highly competitive and athletic, and we were field day partners, and I think we were probably the only field day partners that got together and practiced.
Only once.
Yeah, we were, and she was like, okay, field day's coming up. Meet me at my house with the ties for the three-legged race. I'll bring the sacks for the potato sack race. Like, we were serious, okay? And a lot of that has not changed. So
winning, okay?
It was what it was about.
It's all about winning.
So we talk about a lot of things. We talk about a lot of things. We talk about everything, but we always talk about race and culture and what's going on in these United States. And on many occasions, we have said we would like to do a discussion series. We've been saying that for a while, and we keep saying we need to do this, and with our busy schedules and everything, we only get to see each other probably on Sundays. We haven't done it, but with everything that has happened of late between the murder of George Floyd and the resultant protests and everything, we decided that, and also the fact that everybody is like, well, how do I discuss this? And that's one thing we've always been able to do, is to discuss these issues. So we wanted to talk about our impressions today of Dave Chappelle. Oh, we both love stand-up comedy also.
Love Dave Chappelle.
Yes. Love Dave Chappelle. I want to make sure that everything is, okay, bring them on camera. Oh, hey, Reza. And anybody else who's watching, I waved at you. Okay, I just wanted to see if there was something going on, but we're still live. If we cut out for any reason, we will be back. I do have my little battery there. Well, let me make sure it's on, because my phone battery runs. Okay, it's on. Okay, so Lisa watched 846. I watched 846, and I want to hear from you first. This is a problem I have with her, okay? She's a goofball. Okay, so what were your impressions of 846?
Well, first of all, I had no idea what I was walking into when I turned that on.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was about.
Make sure you speak up.
What were my impressions? I really just was left without words. I mean, Chappelle is just brings the realness.
Yeah.
And
what? I didn't know before now that she possibly has ADHD, so I might need to step in for her.
Strange car across the street.
There's a strange car.
I mean, there really wasn't, I mean, obviously it wasn't about comedy. It was really, I think,
him celebrating everybody else and saying like, you're doing this work and you're doing a great job and this is about you and you don't need me. Like, and this is not about celebrity. And I feel like it's like everybody's time to do the right thing. Which I'm wearing.
I was about to say. She's wearing her Spike shirt. That was
not planned.
She had to show me. She was like, "Look at my shirt." I'm like, "Yeah, it says Spike. What does that mean?" She's like, "Spike Lee." That's the other thing. Lisa keeps me hip to modern black culture. Okay, she listens to modern radio stations. She'll be like, "Well, did you hear what so and so said?" And did you hear so and so song? I'm like, "Huh? What?" So she's my link to modern or pop culture, black culture, rap, things like. I listen to, you know, comedy, jazz, and old school music.
I have a controversial question.
Okay, good.
So, my white friend was over yesterday, and she was at some get together, and people were talking, and they were all saying like Floyd is such a hero and da 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 da. Do you think that George Floyd is a hero?
No, I think he's a martyr. I think that he's a symbol of this struggle of being brutalized by the police since the end of slavery to now. He's now the galvanizing face of what's happening, but I wouldn't say he's a hero. He was a victim of police brutality, and so I think he was martyred. I think he's a martyr, yeah.
So my friend said he's not a hero for these same reasons, but everybody in this group, which were also all white, were like you're not allowed to say that. And she's like, he's not a hero.
Right.
It doesn't mean that good things aren't coming out of this, but it was not his intention to do that.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I think that's true, but I think that the heroes are the people that are starting to just say something, acknowledge, talk about it. But, you know, white people get afraid of saying what they think because they censor.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation, and I can't help looking to see who that is. Hey Candace, Camille, thank you for joining. This feels awkward to you because you don't do it like every other day like I do, but that's okay. You're talking about white people being awkward.
They're awkward.
Yeah, they very often are, and we talked about that so many times because it's what you said. They censor themselves, and they feel like they can't have an opinion that differs from whatever the politically correct opinion is because they're afraid of being viewed as racist a lot of times. But what that does is it keeps us from having real discussion. And one of the things I know, I've told you this, that I've noticed, is that I experience that with a lot of white Americans. Not all, and especially, not you, but a lot of white Americans, there's often this like discomfort. Like you just know for them, it's like they're so aware of the fact that I'm African American or black. Yet, and I'm not saying Europe is without racism, but when I've traveled in Europe, and I talk to white people over there and I interact with them, I don't feel that same thing. They sort of assume that if I'm, an educated African American who's traveling in Europe, that we probably have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And that's the way they talk to me.
It's definitely different.
Yeah. Whereas here, it's kind of like, first of all, there's all these assumptions. There's this discomfort oftentimes. So it's hard to have these discussions with a lot of people because of that. But that's why we wanted to talk about this. So a friend of mine hipped me to Dave Chappelle's 846, and I tried to send it to Lisa right away. It wasn't going through, but anyway, I told her about it. But I watched it, and so my impressions were, I love Dave. I've said that. I think he's a genius. He talks about comedy, stand-up being like the last bastion of free speech and all that. Now, you talked about the celebrity. A part of why what he talked about in the opening, he took issue with Don Lemon calling out all these celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they saying something? Dave said they don't need me. The streets are speak for themselves. They don't need to hear from me. I don't agree with that, and also I think it's a little ironic. You're saying they don't need to hear from me while we're hearing from you. Okay, so, but I'm not going to get into a Don Lemon versus Dave Chappelle debate because I think that's a waste of time. I think things happen as they should. I'm glad Don Lemon said what he said. I'm glad Dave had the reaction he had, and I'm glad Dave did this special. And Don responded. He said something.
Maybe he just didn't have, maybe it wasn't his time to say anything in the beginning. Like, yeah, he's saying something now, but I can understand why you don't want to take, front and center to a movement that is much bigger than celebrity.
But Don Lemon, in my opinion, wasn't saying that these celebrities should take front and center. He wanted them to come out and comment, not take front and center. Like what Dave is doing now, he's making a commentary, but he's not making it all about him.
But if you watch him in this, I don't know what you call this, his
special
commentary, he is very emotionally charged. He is visibly upset. He is making a lot of personal connections to the numbers and dates and times, and maybe the man couldn't talk about it.
Wait, no, I agree with you. When I say,
God
damn it, no, what I'm saying is he spoke when he felt he needed to speak. That's fine.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I don't have a problem with Don Lemon calling out people and saying, say something. We all need to be saying something. So, in my opinion, what Don Lemon was saying is, people listen to you. Now is the time to say something.
Yeah.
You don't have to take front and center. You just comment.
It's
true. Don't be silent. And a lot of those folks, also he called out Oprah and other people, Oprah and other people, I don't remember who else, but Oprah, didn't say Dave, called out other folks. But Oprah also didn't say anything right away. A lot of people were taking a beat. And Don Lemon called them out, maybe to encourage them, because then they did say something. So either way, I don't want to get into we can if you want. I don't really want to get into the Don Lemon thing.
No.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that.
Yeah. I want to stick with the special. Dave talked about the scariest moment he had. He starts off the special talking about the scariest moment in his life when he thought he was going to die, and that was during the Northridge earthquake. Now, I was already in school in Los Angeles during the Northridge earthquake, but I wasn't there because it happened on a break. So I was home. I came back the aftermath when LA was on fire and experienced it. But that I know that was a huge, very scary earthquake. And he talked about, I think it lasted 30-something seconds, which felt like an eternity.
Right.
And he was using that to illustrate. Now compare that to 8 minutes and 46 seconds that son of a bitch.
That was very powerful.
Murdered the man.
Yeah, when he made that comparison.
Yeah.
And the fact that he continued to repeat that really just made it impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was like so powerful was when he said that he knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
When he called for his mother,
Which breaks
who
my
had
heart.
passed.
Yeah.
Which, I wasn't thinking about it like that. But like that's what you do.
Oh God, yeah.
And then I don't know, he brought it to just so many levels of sadness. But the thing that after, of course, I was sucked into just his voice and the power of his voice and the conviction and the heart that he had when he was speaking. But then when I came out of it, I'm just like, what the fuck? This is just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. And then it just seems so simple to me. Hey, don't kill people.
Yeah.
Just don't kill people.
Yeah.
It's we all know that. And why is this still okay?
You and I both know why it's still okay. I mean, there are myriad factors that all have to do with how police have been allowed to police black communities and black people, and ongoing racism, and the way black folks are portrayed, and the fact that they have seen over and over that they can in fact get away with this.
They can get away with it.
You know, so if first of all,
But we say racism like racism just is like this word. This like,
okay, so what do you mean?
it doesn't. I don't think it has. I don't think it has like so much meaning. It's like it's not just racism. It's like this is a thing that lives in all of us because it is something that we are used to. Okay, it's why. You know, I was at my friend's house the other night, and this black guy walked down this street, and of course, white people won't say black people; they say African American. He's black, and it's like you can just tell who is this? Why is he here? Now look, I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, everybody just a freaking
Asian.
If you look suspicious, I don't care what you are. Like I'm all for like, you know, I'm on high alert for anybody who looks suspicious.
Yeah.
But it is this idea. It is this idea that like it is unfamiliar. It is not normal.
Well, it's that, Lisa, and I think that
That's
it's
called
also,
segregation.
Yeah, but I also think that it's this projection because this is what I've experienced, and I, just as an African American / black person, sometimes Negro, is that people don't look at the whole you. They see brown skin, and they stop right there. You know, they don't go if like, okay, could be in a store, dressed nicely. Excuse me, where is your whatever? Do I look like I'm wearing a red vest? This bitch. Just because I'm brown, you know? So my brother started back when we were younger. He said,
Does my vest say Target?
Does my vest say Target? Or does it say, you know, Spike? And my brother, when we were younger, and this, you know, because he was mad about this, I probably shouldn't put his business out on the streets. This might have been a joke.
He's not going to be happy about that.
Lisa's also good friends with this relative of mine. We'll back off to say he's relative. He said he used to walk up to random white people in the drugstore and be like, "Excuse me, where's the toothpaste?" It's like, you know, or like when they walk past, he just locked the doors, you know.
That's funny.
Because of what he's experienced.
I remember when we went to Georgetown, you and I and the other person in the family, and I remember we walked into the Hugo Boss store in Georgetown, and they watched you two.
Wow.
And they did not look at me.
Wow.
And we were together.
Wow.
I was like, I am not a hostage.
Right. We're using this white girl to rob Hugo Boss. Don't move.
Actually, that's what you should do.
Right.
You should. You only need one white person to rob a store.
Well, right. They should be watching us.
Yeah.
And you could be steady robbing them. We'll be looking.
I should have figured that out a long time ago.
I know. Well, now that we said it, we can't do it. But yeah.
I'm also not a robber.
Right. Yeah, she doesn't steal.
I don't steal.
Yeah. But yeah, this is
just implicit.
But like you're saying, it's in the air, it's in the water. It's
that's what I'm saying. Like people say like, oh, it's racist. It's like, no, it's like in your DNA. It is what you have been bred to think.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we feel it. We feel it, and that's what Dave was talking about. It's like we are sick of this. These protests are not because of this, you know, one martyr hero victim. It's because it, like you said, it keeps happening, and people who can't. That was the other point he made that I loved. He said how, using the example of how the police went after Christopher Dorner.
Mm-hmm.
And Christopher Dorner, who, in case you don't know, was a LAPD cop who reported his partner for using excessive force. Dave said he knows she used excessive force. He doesn't remember what it was. They were called to a scene. There was a man who was had a mental illness. He was in the schizophrenic continuum. Was off his meds, okay, and he wasn't violent, but he was acting erratically. And they had him on the ground in cuffs. And his partner, I think he said white female, but she might have been Latina.
Oh.
but she was a female
She
partner,
said-
kicked him in the face while he was on the ground. He was already in handcuffs. So Christopher Dorner reported that as being excessive force. It went through a tribunal, the police investigate themselves, so that's bullshit. It went through this thing, and they found her not guilty, and then thereafter they fired him. And
The thing that he kept saying, though, was he did everything right. He did everything right, and nothing worked for him.
Right, because he was a cop who tried to tell on another cop, and we've seen what can often happen with that. And then, so in their eyes, he was a cop killer, but I would say more than that, he was a black cop killer. And that's not what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to keep you in line. And here's the crazy thing about that Christopher Dorner stuff. I remember when it was happening, I had no clue what was happening or what it was about. My perception of it then was like, and the perception I got was from what the news put forward.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy cop on the loose, crazy man on the loose. And everybody was supposed to be afraid of him because he was killing people. In revenge, he said he was gonna, enact warfare, asymmetrical warfare.
Yeah.
On the cops and the people associated with the cops. And here's the other thing Dave couldn't get into in his special. Those cops were so intent on killing Christopher Dorner, they had APBs out for vehicles, and twice they shot up vehicles that didn't fit the description of his at all. 2 Latina women were in a neighborhood near one of the victims on the list, driving in the wee small hours of the morning with no lights on, driving slowly, and the police, without warning, opened fire and shot up the truck. Those 2 women were there delivering papers, and they always came at that time, and they would have their lights low to not wake up people in the neighborhood. And they shot them up. Luckily, didn't kill them. And then another guy was a white man in a truck. Same thing. Did not match the description of Dorner's truck. They rammed him, and then started firing. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay, well, let's just forget due process. That hasn't obviously, been. And that's the other thing. Can we just talk about the lies of America, please?
Yes.
Let's talk about the main lies. Everybody has an equal chance to succeed. Everybody's treated equally. You will be protected.
Don't even go to trial.
You'll be protected by the law. You'll be protected by the police. We've had our own experiences with the police also. Do you call the police readily when there's a problem, Lisa?
I have called the police.
And what have you
on
found?
multiple occasions. I found that they left their fingerprinting kit on my porch by mistake. One of them came up on a bike, parked it on my porch. Other time, I said, there's somebody trying to get into my car on my driveway. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. They said, can you see? First of all, I can't see anything anyway.
Right.
Anyway, it was dark.
Yeah.
I said, I can tell you what the car, I said, it's like a
F-150?
Yeah, F-150. But I couldn't see the people.
Yeah.
And they wanted me, like, really badly to say something. And I'm like, I know you want me to say that it was a black man, but I'm telling you, I can't tell you who it was because I couldn't see.
Right. They were like, come on, just say black man.
I felt like that.
Yeah.
I felt like that.
Yeah,
and I said that to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to say something and put that in your head because I don't know.
Right. And when you said, I know what you want me to say, what did they say?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. But I also said, when you come here, I said, please do not come to my door because it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And please do not put your lights on and then make me some target. And so they showed up at 4 o'clock in the morning with the lights on. And then they come to my door. 2 men come to my door at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm supposed to be comfortable opening my door?
And
like, why should I trust you?
And here's the crazy thing, is that you live in a pretty good neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
You're white. Black people even in a good neighborhood, often don't call the police because of shit like we're seeing. Because they're afraid they could get shot. It's almost better. Now, I'm not saying we never do.
I would think twice about it.
Right.
If I were black, I would think twice about it because I don't know that I'm going to be treated unbiasedly.
I definitely think twice about it. And that's part of the problem that's happening as an ambulance goes by, is that we don't feel that the police often protect and serve as they're supposed to. And we're not saying all cops are bad anyway.
No,
so
they're not.
In case
That's
anybody
not
wants
true.
to say we're dissing cops, we're absolutely not. What we are saying is that there is a problem with police brutality combined with racism in this country. I think we all know that. We see it, and the reason why we want to have these discussions is because we want people to understand. I know I do. I think you do too. This problem is not going to go away by not talking about it.
Right.
Right?
And we say those cliche things like we have to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about having uncomfortable conversations. It's just about having conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Just say what you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone doesn't agree with you, then have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't censor yourself. Just if you're not honest, then you won't ever change the way that you think.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't have a lot of exposure to people that are not exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have all the information.
Yeah.
If you don't have exposure.
Right. Now, have you read or been watching any videos about white fragility?
No.
I can't remember the lady's name, but she wrote a book about it, and she's obviously been, everybody's been talking about it. And that is something I found many times, and what we've been talking about is that, it's an uncomfortable conversation. When I was in graduate school, studying clinical psychology, my emphasis was in multicultural community psychology, and my school had a mission to make sure that their psychologists were culturally competent, right? So to that end, we had a class called Multicultural Mental Health. I'm not going to get into the problems with that class, but we also had a lot of discussions about race. So I had the experience very often being one of a small number of black students in a class, majority white, and we would start to have these conversations. And if a white person, not across the board, but very often, if a white person said something that displayed their ignorance, but they were still trying to engage, unfortunately, some of my black sisters and brothers would jump. I don't even know if we had any brothers, we might have one, would jump on them and be like, well, that's racist. And I would just watch them shut down and the conversation over. And I would be like, let them say what they need to say.
Well, that's how you learn.
Right. And you don't have, if you label somebody, well, you're racist, that's racist.
That's why I don't like using the word racism. It's
conversation over.
Yeah, like be specific. Like what are you missing?
Yeah.
What information are you missing? Or what experience do you not have? Or what assumption are you making that's getting you to that place? But just
who's this white lady parking in front of your house?
Oh, that's my neighbor.
That's your neighbor? We got our eye on you, white lady. We're joking. I'm joking. And people either are going to shut down if you get defensive and just label them as racist, or they're just going to get defensive and fight back. It's the fight or flight. And so I would see that happen every time. And also, if I wanted to talk about some perceptions that I had,
white man down,
white man quiet. And if I wanted to
seat 23 goes dark.
If I wanted to talk about some things that I felt as an African American that weren't sort of popular opinions in a way, I would feel censored because people would be like, you shouldn't be airing our dirty laundry. And I'd be like, okay, secrets and whatever, that's not going to help.
No.
It's so if you're having these conversations, two fake faces together, that's not a real dialogue. That's not a real discussion. But I wanted to make that point about white fragility. One thing I saw that used to get on my damn nerves, though.
What is white fragility?
It is people who, it's like, if you suggest in any way that they might be ignorant to understanding white supremacy, or being a part of white supremacy, they kind of, they get defensive or they break down or they, because we can't have this conversation. But what this woman is arguing is that's a way to keep white supremacy going. Now, I'm not here to debate that because I haven't read the book yet, but I've at least watched the videos.
It's like you're protecting your position.
Right. So I can't talk about it, I'm too scared, but it's also, that also helps to keep your position.
That's a quality of a bad leader.
Well,
protecting your position.
Of course. Thank you. She's a teacher also, by the way. But what I was saying is that what gets on my nerves is when a white person gets a little bit of flack or heat, not like being shot, but just a little bit of, and then they're like, well, I didn't feel safe. You didn't feel safe?
What do you mean you didn't feel safe?
You didn't feel safe? Like, because everybody was mad at me. It's like...
Yeah, but that's that talk. That talk that people use now.
That's so but that gets on my nerves. Because
you didn't feel safe.
You didn't feel safe? How? We don't feel safe at all. I'm the one black person in this thing, or the one of two. But suddenly, because you're in a situation where people are questioning or getting upset with you.
It's not safe. It's just you don't feel comfortable or you
I
don't
know,
like it.
But
I don't
by
feel
safe, but you don't feel... But that's because
you're projecting that this is like an aggressive thing.
Of course.
It's not aggressive.
But it is. It is.
Why?
It's aggressive because I'm about to be attacked by the blacks.
Maybe you should be attacked.
It's
another bitch.
It's that scene. It's that scene in The Color Purple, where the white lady comes. She gives Oprah. She's trying to give her the day off, and she can't drive the car, and the black people try to come and help her, and she has a total breakdown because she thinks she's being attacked. Yeah, that's what that is. It's like, if you calm down, white lady, stop acting crazy.
Slap her around. Get a hold of yourself.
Maybe she could hear. So I don't know if this discussion is going anywhere, and I think we will. We're gonna have more of these, but hopefully people have left some comments. I think we've talked for a while, so we should probably
I think we should
wrap it up so we can gossip about personal things.
My personal life.
Yeah, our personal lives that will not be put on this thing. But if you
on the
tuned
road
in,
less taken, my personal life.
if you tuned in and you stayed tuned in, if you see this afterward, please leave comments, questions. I will. Lisa's not big on the Facebook, but
I don't do the social media.
She doesn't do the social media on the interwebs.
That's a security breach.
But she's gonna monitor these so she can reply to these comments, right?
I will monitor.
She will be monitoring, and I will also attend to them later, after we have our personal time, after I have family time, and later on. But thank you for anybody who's still watching. We're gonna sign out now. And hey, cousin Angie. Hey, Ed Cunningham. You remember Ed Cunningham from Landon? Trisha and Leslie Cunningham's brother. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know him. Just Trisha.
Okay, but we used to carpool with them.
Yeah.
So, Ed was in the same class as Matt, Kevin, Michelle Ross, Nina Price. Oh, you don't know Nina. I know Nina. She went to Bullis with me. Andrea Hart. Hey, Andrea, what's up? Eve, Willard. You know Willard. You taught his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Willard.
He said, hi, Nicole. You remember Lisa Willard? Are you still there?
I was little Willard's teacher.
down the road a piece. Victoria, who else? Thank you, all of you, for tuning in. Victor Blythe, Edward Luria, Edward Scissorhands, Christy Aiden. Okay, I'm going to stop reading names and be like D Nice. DJ D Nice. What's up, Rihanna? What's up, Deb? What's up? So and so. I'm like, why can't you say
Halle Berry?
But Halle Berry's in the house. Why can't you say hi to the normal people, the regulars like me? Why can't you say what's up, Nicole? What's up, Lisa? Okay. Anyway, Carrie Newman. What's up, Carrie? Carrie Newman's in the house. All right, we're gonna sign out because I got to leave here in about 15 minutes to go to my mama house, and I got to stop at the grocery store. All right, love you guys. Take care.
Peace.
All right, peace out.